Tú no lo has visto aquí, right, baby?
No, it is recording. Hi. Okay. I'm gonna start. So, alright, hi. My name is Mateo, and I am 20 years old. So I started my testosterone today. Let's start with basics. So today is June 30th, 2015, and I started my testosterone process on June 24th, 2015, so like 6 days ago. So I think before talking a little bit about what the process has been for me, I kind of wanted to share a little bit of my background and where I come from, and hopefully if there are other transgender folks who have experiences similar, that we can connect and we can build together and like share our narratives, because that's a beautiful process. So I want to share a little bit about my background. So I was born in Colombia. I was born in Cali, Colombia in 1995, and I don't know. Anyway, so I was born in Cali, Colombia, and I migrated to the United States in 2010, so only like 5 years ago. And I migrated with both my parents because the economy was pretty rough in Colombia. And so when we arrived to the United States, I found out that I was undocumented. I didn't know what undocumented meant until like I was trying to look for a job, and I was trying to like apply for school and like not receiving financial support to go to college. And so that's when I actually found out that I was undocumented. And so for a very long time I lived in these two closets. So the first closet was my LGBTQ identity, and the second closet was my immigration status, right? So like at home my parents knew that we were undocumented, and they were like, don't share it in school because like we don't know what can happen. Like they can call La Migra, eyes on us, like immigration, and they can deport us. So I didn't say anything in school until after like a very long time. And then my second closet was my LGBTQ identity, and so I identify as a queer trans man of color. And so in school, like everyone knew my identity. At the time I identified differently than I do currently, but I would walk with like a rainbow flag. I would be like so happy in school because like it was like my safe space, right, to like share my identity and like the things that I liked, and you know, it was just an awesome space. But then at home it was like a secret. Like I couldn't tell my family that I identified the way I identified before because I was afraid I was gonna be kicked out, and so I was afraid of homelessness, and I was afraid of like being homeless and also being undocumented, and then like being sent back to Colombia, where like, you know, it's moving forward, it's progressing now with LGBTQ issues, but also it's a different culture in terms of like LGBTQ than the US. I mean, also like the US has pretty very intense rough areas, even like in New York City. So I live in New York City, right? Like being a transgender person of color walking down the streets, right? Like you get stopped and frisked, and you get abused by cops, right? And so like there are like similarities, but in terms of like living in Colombia, like I fear my life as a transgender guy. Yeah, okay, this is like a much more complex narrative like that. Now, I mean, not narrative, like discussion. But for the purpose of the video, because I know it's already like a long time, and this might be just the only longest video, the other ones might just be shorter. Just for like sake of time, I'm gonna keep moving forward, right? So like having experience being undocumented in the US really build this resilient body to systemic oppressive ideas. And so like as I have become very critical about the system, and have been critical about language, and critical about like actions, right, and like what we do and what I do as an individual to like make systemic change, and so far, okay, moving on. So I've also been very critical on my own self. So I started identifying as Mateo approximately like almost 2 years ago. I started binding like almost 2 years ago. But I didn't think of using testosterone initially, and the reasons why is because I believe that transitions are very unique, and that if you start your transition as cutting your hair or like letting your hair grow, right, like the way that you define to your own transition, that's the beautiful transition, and nobody should say like, oh, you're not on T or you're not on estrogen, then you're not really transitioning. So that's a narrative that often gets me upset, because transitions are so unique that whatever cis-normative ideas of bodies are being put forth for you to actually be pressured to use T or estrogen, that's just like so incoherent in my mind. And so that's why I didn't transition for a long time, because I believe that for me, I wanted it to challenge people when they heard my name, Mateo, and then they will be like, oh, how do I, address you? What is your preferred gender pronoun? Because I wanted it to challenge people's mind. And so it took me a while to come to terms with my own self and decide, okay, I actually want to start making changes in my physical appearance and, start testosterone so I can grow up here, because I want that one day. But yeah, so like I was very critical about myself, and now that I actually made the decision for a long time, I've thought about it, I've processed about that, and I've been doing like all this process and everything. I'm really excited that I'm 6 days on testosterone, yay. Yeah, I'm really happy. So yeah, changes for the past 6 days. There haven't been really that many changes. I mean, I will think like my voice has become a little bit more raspy, but that might also be my mind playing tricks of like, you're like on T now, your voice should be dropping very soon. But I think it's just me. I have felt those like the type of thing. I feel it all the time. Approximately, I think after the second day, I started feeling my voice like feeling weird in my throat. How do you pronounce that word? Throat. So like my throat has been feeling weird. I have to like clear it up. But yeah, I think there has been like intense changes in my voice. Second thing I noticed, my leg. So after the T shot, maybe like a couple of hours after that, my leg just hurt a lot. Like the muscle in my thigh, it was just pretty painful. And so like I was in this protest, and like I had to drag my leg through the entire protest because it was just hurting a lot. I mean, I'm exaggerating. It's not that intense, but it was painful to walk. So I decided to start biking because like working out the muscle might make it easier for like the testosterone to spread out, or like, I don't know, just to work out the muscle so that it hurts not because of the T, but because I'm actually like working out. Which is actually a goal of mine, to start working out one day. Woo. Okay, and then another change. I haven't had like mood swings or anything. I mean, it's only my 6th day. I mean, maybe after my second testosterone shot, I will feel I will not. But what I keep reminding myself is that if, my mood changes for any reason, right? Like, it might be influenced by the testosterone, but the reality is that I am oneself, and I am Mateo, and if I am on hormones, it's not like I'm living, oh, this is Mateo and what Mateo would have been without hormones, and this is Mateo with hormones, because I think that's like dividing myself into two, and like I will just completely go crazy thinking, what would I do in each different case? And so like, fuck it, I will embrace my moods. If I'm in a very crappy mood, well, I'll embrace that. If I'm very happy, I'll embrace that. I'm actually just generally very jumpy, like, Anyway, which my mom was like, oh my god, you're jumpy, and I was like, Mom, I'm always jumpy. Anyway, so yeah, like, always like embracing, because like, I'm not gonna divide myself into two. Impossible. And maybe what else was I gonna mention? So that's my baby sitting on the other side. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I mentioned my narrative because if folks, I think it's very important to also like document transitions that are not only like white transgender boys who are transitioning, but also transgender boys of color, you know, who have migrated, who have so many intersection and so many beautiful experience to also be shared with the world, so that, you know, that our voices also are heard. So yeah, so to my future self, or to whomever is watching this, which I don't know why. Anyway, I'm very excited. I'm super excited about this process. I can't believe that I'm finally on testosterone. It's been a lot of thinking, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited on how like my voice is gonna drop in the following months, or like how like my facial hair is gonna start to grow. I'm really excited. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Bye.